nothing special, honestly. I mean, I'm no different from every other songwriter out there. I'm just someone who writes as well. That's really just it. I don't know what's the big deal, man. Like, okay, ito yung mga songs na nagawa ko lahat ng pinagdaanan ko na yun. Alright, it's an album. I started out in The Voice Kids. That's where I actually, my whole career started basically. I actually got to sign a contract with ABS and Star Magic and UMG Philippines. And after The Voice Kids, I tried out different things. Got into acting for TV, teleserye. Started out in Maalala Mo Kaya, portraying myself with my life story. From there, I just found myself being on television up until the point where I was, I guess, 15 that I started writing songs, because Coach Bamboo gave me a baby Taylor, like it's a mini acoustic guitar, The Voice Kids pa lang. So for 2 years, I didn't touch that thing. Inaral ko yung mga basic chords, and then that's when I started writing songs when I was 15. Yeah, so my debut album, they titled it JK. And the second album they titled JKL, So Creative. Those albums kasi were kind of like they're like a traditional album in a way wherein, the artist is a vessel for these songs that are created by other people. So the artist is the one to perform these songs and then put in an album. That's the whole branding and packaging. So I did that for one album, but I realized I didn't really like it because I didn't really have any direct connection to the song. So that's why on my second album I started putting my own songs. I started writing songs and I put in 3 songs on the second album. And then after that I just went full on musician mode. I dropped everything. I guess these mall shows with so many people, I started performing in Sagiho and 19 East and Most. Like I just wanted to go through what the people that I look up to went through. And I guess because as a kid I wanted to have the recognition from other musicians. You don't really grow sitting down on your couch. I mean, yeah, I guess you do. It depends on what you're doing on the couch. I was putting myself in a lot of these uncomfortable situations and scary situations. Imagine you're like may mold na nakakast sa'yo and you're trying to break from that mold. That's how you can get away from that. I guess the whole underground scene, it made me feel more human, for lack of a better term. It made me feel more connected to everyone around me and everything around me, and it made me look at life in the perspective of just another normal person. You either make stories because of personal experiences or by imagination, or a mix of both. So, just like any other songwriter out there, I just had my experiences and I just wrote about it because that's my outlet and that's my way of the thoughts in my head. So I'm nothing special, honestly. I mean, I'm no different from every other songwriter out there. I'm just someone who writes as well. That's really just it. I don't know what's the big deal, man. Well, I mean, there's really no actual structure into making a song, at least for me, but all the songs just come into my head. Usually melody first, sometimes lyrics first if I just want to write something down, like a phrase or a thought or a topic, and then you start from there. That's like a seed that grows eventually, right? Most of the time the song just pops up in my head and I'm like, okay, that's something, and then I grab an instrument and try to translate that in real life into something physical, kumbaga, like, okay, put it in a DAW and then start building from there. alam mo yung mga Lego pieces na wala talagang build, like it's just like Lego pieces, parang free for all. Ano ba yung tawag din sa mga parang universal Legos, like it's just a bunch of Legos, and then you imagine something and then you use that to create that imagination as close as possible to what you imagine. It's basically just that. So, but yeah, melodies first most of the time. It's really the melodies first. I don't know, my brain loves singing inside. Well, honestly, the whole sad songs and album really started out because I went through a breakup, and that's really just the main core of it. I mean, shit, you get your heart broken, and in my case, I made like 180 songs, and then crying every night. Diba? Bumalik ka na, tapos the next day, tangina mo, diba? Parang, it's like a roller coaster of emotions, like the 5 stages of grief, right? Where you hate this person, and then the next day you wish this person would forgive you or comes back into your life, and then parang the day after, you know what, fuck everyone, I'll move on. And then you start crying again the week after. It's just really that. Capturing the whole album is basically just a photo album full of moments captured all throughout that roller coaster ride of emotions of mine during that moment in time. That's literally just it. Like, okay, ito yung mga songs na nagawa ko lahat ng pinagdaanan ko na yun. Alright, it's an album. Let's collect all of these things, right? And then put it into this one thing, which is an album, and hey, that's it. And for me, kasi once the song is done, it's really done. You know, it's only my baby up until the point it's out. And basically, it's not really mine anymore in that sense na parang I let go of the song na. And then once it's out, I'm on to the next song, on to the next stories. I could literally make a song on a Monday night just because I'm fucking hungry. And I just, use that hunger as either a metaphor or because it's a literal hunger. It's really just that. It's really about, a lot of people, I guess, tend to get scared with the thought of making something because they overthink too much. They think that everything is so deep when it's actually not, man. It's not deep at all. Or maybe I'm just saying that because I'm used to the depth. Right? For a lot of people, like 6 feet is not deep because they're used to swimming in 6 feet. So it's all, everyone has a different perspective, and that's one of the things I love about music and art in general, because there's really no rule book, there's no guidebook, there's no like, hey, that's wrong, or hey, that's right. It's just like, that's unusual. So like, I guess that's one of the most beautiful things about it, because there's no rules, How do you make a song? Up to you. Whatever floats your boat. Right? It's closely related to vulnerability and ego, and also fear. Like a lot of people are, afraid of being vulnerable, and there's nothing wrong with that. People are different. People are complicated. And I guess as an artist, how to keep honesty. It's really hard to say because we all think differently. It's one of the things that's really hard to separate because music and film are they're like cousins. As much as possible, I really try to separate my music that I make for music from acting. And in a way wherein I'm not trying to separate music from my acting work. I'm just trying to separate the music I make for music versus music that I make for acting or for film. Like in some sort of way, parang I could be on a movie project and I could write a song specifically for that movie project. That song that I will make for that movie project, I will never probably sing live as a musician. I'll just leave it there. And then for this movie project, I will not use the songs that I made for an album. I try to separate those things because, if you try to do all of these things all at once, it tends to get really confusing. Persona naman, it's just a mode. Like parang, okay, work mode, what are we doing now? Music? Okay, then I'll wear my musician hat, right? Parang, and then I'll think like a musician. If I'm doing acting, I'll think like an actor. But I love both. I really love both because they're just really outlets for me. It's just really that, it's fun to portray a character. That's really fun. You know, if your character is crazy, then you act crazy. You have that license to act crazy and not get judged for it. You can even get an award. You know? Right? So it's a really fun medium to they're all basically playgrounds.